Hey guys, welcome back to the show, and on this episode, I'm going to be talking about the movie House. Yes, House. Not The House, it's just House, which you know what, I can really appreciate because it shows that they're being very money conscious. You know, it's very fiscally responsible. Little known fact, when you register a movie title trademark, you actually have to pay per letter. So, you know, leaving the out of the title and just having House probably save them, I don't have the exact math, but it's probably around $50,000. There's a good chance that nothing of what I just said was true, but yeah, very interesting. House is a horror movie that came out in 1986. I personally think that this movie is actually very well made, but there's some stupid stuff in it too. However, all things considered, it is a pretty weird movie. So let's start things off by taking a look at the poster. Now, I think this is pretty cool. I'm always a fan of illustrated movie posters, and I love the detail that was put into the severed hand here. So the movie starts off at the house, where a food delivery boy is still getting used to the existence of curbs. Anyways, the door is open, so he decides to go inside, but Mrs. Hooper isn't responding. So he takes the opportunity to insult her taste in art.
Sick.
And quite frankly, I don't know what else you would do in this situation. I mean, how often do you get the opportunity to just waltz into somebody's house and start making fun of all their shit? You know, unless you're a real estate agent or a real estate photographer, you probably get that opportunity every day. But for the rest of us, this never happens. What would be a more joyful occasion than getting to go and ridicule other people's belongings? I mean, Christmas is joyous, but you know, you're just getting belongings then. You're not getting to make fun of other people's belongings and put them down, which is why every Christmas, whenever I give my family members their gifts, I always make sure to include a note that points out their flaws. By the way, this movie was made back when sick meant gross or disgusting or it was a bad thing to say, like a disparaging remark. There. Then he walks around for a bit and finally finds Mrs. Hooper swinging from the ceiling. See, this is why I will never be a food courier for Uber Eats or DoorDash or whatever, because let's say you go to the house and the person is dead. Then what? Is the delivery considered completed? I mean, I did my job. Do I still get paid? And what do you do with the food? Is it safe to say that it's fair game at that point? You know, can you eat it? Because, you know, if you don't eat it, then no one else will, and then, well, that just helps nobody. So now we see her nephew, Roger Cobb, a famous author of horror novels who is trying to work on his new book about his experiences in the Vietnam War, even though his fans don't seem too thrilled about the change.
Mr. Cobb, we've been waiting a long time. Can you tell me what your next book is going to be about?
It's about my personal experiences in Vietnam.
The war?
Yeah, that's right.
Oh, great.
See, now, I can appreciate a writer, you know, wanting to change things up, but if you're successful in the horror genre, that is a cash cow that you can milk forever. Just look at R.L. Stine. Fear Street, Goosebumps, that guy made a fortune writing spooky shit for kids in the 90s. He was like pumping out like 2 books a month. And I really don't think that was like grueling writing, you know? Like, not to take anything away from Goosebumps. I love those books, but, you know, I can just imagine him sitting there just like, well, what about a boy who hates bees? And then he somehow gets turned into a bee. Huh. Yeah, that's pretty spooky. Anyways, Roger goes home to work on his book, and oh my god, just look at this fridge. That is super unhealthy. Dude, if you're gonna eat junk, just order a pizza. You can have it delivered, as long as you promise not to kill yourself first. I think that should be something that gets agreed upon now with every pizza delivery. Like if you order online, you know, you have to tick off all those boxes like, I agree to the terms and conditions. There should be a separate box that says, I promise I will not kill myself before the pizza delivery person gets here. If I do, they get to eat the pizza. You know, because I put them through all that trauma. I think that's only fair. So Roger decides, screw this, I'm not getting any work done here. I'm gonna go over to that house where my aunt killed herself because, you know, I'll probably be able to write better over there. Some people might not be able to understand this, but I can. See, you know, you're in this apartment and you got all this stuff and you're like, oh, I'm getting distracted by all my stuff. So it's better to go to a house, especially where, a family member killed themselves, so that you can be free of all distractions, because since they're dead, that house is empty now. It's going to be super quiet. So he rips open his closet and starts packing. And dude, I'm sorry, that is not how you pack a suitcase. You just throw everything in there. You know what's going to happen? Your clothes are going to get wrinkled. And then everyone will know you as the guy with wrinkled clothes. Is that what you want? You really want to be that guy? Don't think so. Trust me, I've been that guy many times before. Sometimes I still am that guy. Actually, very frequently I am that guy. More times than not, I am that guy. I really should just iron my clothes. But you know what? I'm lazy and I live alone and I'm not going out and meeting new people during a pandemic, so, who am I trying to impress? And why do you care? This is none of your business. Get off my back. So Roger goes over to the house and meets the realtor, who's like, yeah, we got the place all cleaned up and ready to sell. And this is where Roger has a flashback to when he was visiting the house with his wife and his son, Jimmy. Suddenly, Jimmy disappears and he can't find him anywhere. And then there he is, he's in the pool. So Roger dives in to save him, but Jimmy is nowhere to be found. So I guess it was all one of those things, I can't think of the word right now. It happens when you take like LSD. Mirage. But I guess Jimmy was never found. Roger and his wife split up, and his aunt is like, it was the house. It was the house that took Jimmy. It's haunted.
It was the house. It was the house that did it.
Right, Mrs. Hooper, we understand.
I'm telling you, Roger, it was the house. Will you shut up?
And here's the thing. Well, okay, lady, if this house is so haunted and terrible, then why are you still there? Like, get out and sell the damn thing. Why would you stay there? I mean, I don't know what the housing market was like in that area at that particular time, but I'm telling you right now, if I was in that situation right now, where I live, where the market is completely off the charts, I would be listing that thing yesterday. There's going to be multiple offers and no conditions. Who cares if it's haunted? You can sell a house right now without a home inspection. Anyways, back to reality.
So whatever happened to this uncle?
Oh, he was diving for abalone off of Point Reyes. Got it.
Oops, sorry about that.
Oh yeah, oops, sorry. I almost shot that harpoon into your face. I guess I shouldn't wave weapons around, especially with my finger on the trigger. Anyways, take a look at this painting. So then Roger is like, you know what? I'm not selling this place. I'm going to stay here a while and get some work done. Because, this way I'll be able to get away from all the distractions. Yes, staying at the house where my aunt committed suicide and my son mysteriously disappeared will really help me focus on writing this book about Vietnam. But it turns out he still isn't able to write anything. And quite honestly, I can see why. I mean, look at that chair. You want to write a book in that chair? That looks really uncomfortable. I write this show in a lazy boy. Dude, you gotta get something with at least a back cushion. So Roger goes upstairs and sees his ghost aunt hang herself. By the way, this is how I pronounce this word, aunt. I know some people pronounce it as aunt, which is totally fine, but I would appreciate you not putting me through the ringer on the comment section. It's not pronounced aunt, it's pronounced aunt. And at this point, you'd think he'd be like, all right, that's enough, I'm out of here. But here's the thing. Sure, the house is definitely haunted, but going back home would mean packing up all of his stuff, loading it into the car, and driving all the way back home. He's got a book to write, goddammit. So the next day, he meets his neighbor, played by George Wendt, and he's like, hi, I'm Harold, and hey, you're Roger Cobb. I'm a huge fan of yours.
I'm your biggest fan. Is that right? Yes, absolutely. Right here. Oh, whoops. It's a little kind of falling apart. But, would you mind autographing this for me?
So, who keeps the individual pages of an entire novel in their back pocket? Like, I've been waiting for this. Crap. I really should have left them bound. Was that a thing in the 80s? Like, before you left the house, you do the check, hey, keys, wallet, book, I'm good. Anyways, that night, Roger gets on a roll, writing about his time in the Vietnam War until he gets distracted by what's on TV. And see, there's your problem right there. You can't have the TV going while you're trying to write a novel. You've got to clear the room of all distractions. And that's what he does. TV off. Ghost of his missing son? Off. Wait, what? But then he starts hearing the laughter of his son inside the house. And he's like, okay, wait a minute, that's strange. See, this is exactly what I'm talking about. Whenever you're trying to do work at home, not only do you have to clear the room of all distractions, you've got to be very diligent. Otherwise, you're going to start looking for distractions. And I'm thinking maybe that's really what's going on here, Roger. Did you really hear the laughter of your missing son? Or are you just trying to procrastinate? He's probably like, well, I'm never gonna be able to write this book with all this racket going on. Guess I'm just gonna have to solve the mystery of my missing son in this haunted house first. So he goes upstairs and into one of the rooms and goes to open the closet door, but something stops him. Maybe he has a fear of closets, I don't know. And you know what? There's nothing wrong with that. Closets can be scary. They're dark. Then, while he's brushing his teeth, he's like, you know what? No, I can do this. I'm a big boy now. So he opens the closet door and look, empty. But then the clock strikes midnight. So he's like, well, maybe I should check it again since now it's technically tomorrow and something may have gotten in there overnight. And look, there's a huge monster in there that gives him a huge scratch on the chest and ruins that nice robe. So he pushes the monster back into the closet and then I guess goes to bed, because the next morning he gets a bunch of cameras delivered so that he can record the monster. I'm just wondering, what was it like getting to sleep after that? Did you have trouble at all getting to sleep in that house? I mean, it's becoming quite clear that your life is in danger being in this house. But you're just like, screw it, I gotta write this book. And it's much easier, concentrating on writing in a house filled with monsters and ghosts than it is in my boring apartment. So he gets all geared up and pulls open to reveal nothing is inside. Well, except that stain on the wall, which could be water damage. And, I mean, it's not as bad as a monster, but it's not good either. Water damage can be a serious problem. Anyways, he goes and starts drinking beer because that's a good idea. Let's add alcohol to the mix. And, oh crap, look, it's midnight, which means it's monster time. So he runs upstairs, and I guess Harold just invites himself in with food and more beer. Okay, I gotta say, I'm not a fan of someone just walking into my house, especially in the middle of the night. But he did bring food and beer, so that is a pretty cool neighbor. So then Roger's like, there's a monster in here, man. See, look at these scratches. And Harold's like, oh my God, this guy is crazy. So he calls Roger's ex-wife and is like, hey, yeah, you don't know me, but your ex-husband is starting to lose his mind. You should come by. So Roger's like, all right, back to the novel, which is clearly the real issue at hand. But once again, the ghost of his missing son just keeps distracting him.
Jimmy?
Damn it, Jimmy, everyone else has accepted the fact that you're missing and probably gone forever. Why can't you? Your father doesn't have time to think about your traumatizing disappearance. He has to focus on his traumatizing memories of being at war. Why is this so hard for you to understand? But again, he's got to put the book on hold for these goddamn ghosts because the fish is flopping around, so Roger decides he'll kill it with this trophy, which is really stupid in my opinion. I'd let that thing keep flopping around. That's cool as shit. Then when you have people come over, it's like a giant big mouth Billy Bass. That would be awesome for parties. Have you ever had one of those parties where you invite some of your friends, but they don't really know each other? You have some maybe school friends, some work friends. And you want something as like an icebreaker so that everybody can kind of get to know each other. This is perfect. Instead of the typical boring, so how do you know Mark? This way it's like, whoa, look at this fish. Isn't this awesome? I mean, talk about caught today, am I right? So he goes into the shed to get a gun and some ammo. But I guess the garden tools feel rejected, so they go after him too. Honestly, at what point is he gonna feel like he's in danger? But I guess it's no big deal as long as he's got Valium. Nothing's a big deal as long as you got Valium. But even sedatives aren't enough to actually get rid of sharp objects with a taste for blood. So he's like, screw it, I'll just lock them in this bedroom, because we saw how well that worked out a few minutes ago when he tried locking them in the shed. Anyways, his ex-wife shows up, but it turns out it's just another monster. So he blows her away and, oh crap, wait, Was it actually his ex-wife? And that's why you never do drugs, kids. Because doing drugs leads to bad decisions, like getting married. And if Roger never got married in the first place, he wouldn't be in this situation right now, would he? Harold hears the gunshot and sees Roger holding the gun, so he assumes he tried to kill himself.
Yes, I'd like to report a suicide attempt.
Which, honestly, if it really was a suicide attempt, that means that Roger completely missed shooting himself with a shotgun. That's actually impressive. That's hard to do. So the police come over and check on things, and Roger hides the body under the stairs. Anyways, after they leave, he goes back upstairs, and it turns out it really wasn't his ex-wife. It was a monster. But look, it turns out those possessed gardening tools were good for something. So now Roger goes outside to bury the body of the monster in the backyard, and seriously, if this was me, I would chop that thing up and burn it piece by piece in the fireplace. I don't care how bad it smells, I'm not taking chances anymore. In fact, actually, I take that back. If it was me, I wouldn't be in this situation because I would have left that house days ago. This all just seems like a lot of anxiety and hard labor. Look at all the work you've gotten done on the book compared to the amount of work you've had to put in fending off monsters and ghosts since you've gotten there. It's not even close. Anyways, it turns out that some beautiful woman is swimming in the pool. I guess she wasn't fazed by the gunshots and police sirens, and thinks nothing of him digging a hole to bury something that resembles a large body wrapped in a garbage bag.
I can tell when a man wants to work. I can also tell when a man wants to play.
So he's like, why don't you come back some other time? Which I'm sure would be great considering the track record of this place the past few days. But then she shows up that night.
Hi. Ready to play?
Hello.
This is my son Robert, and he really loves to play.
So Tanya is like, hey, I've got to go do a few things. Here's my son. Babysit him for a while. And Roger just agrees to this? Yeah, I don't think so. What kind of bullshit is this? Lady, you use the guy's pool uninvited, then show up that night and just be like, oh, hey, here, take care of my kid. Even bathe him. What? I mean, how does this even happen? You were just sitting there like, oh, gee, I'd really like to go out and have fun tonight, but ugh, I have this kid. Oh, wait, I know. I'll just drop him off with that guy I met this afternoon. Yeah, that guy dressed in fatigues who was burying something that totally could have been a dead body. Of course, Roger can't get any work done that night because the kid is upset, and of course he is. His mother left him alone with a strange man in a strange house with a strange haircut. But he gets him to calm down by showing him a TV show starring his ex-wife. Like, yeah, you see that lady? Her and I used to be married. We even had a son, just like you. But he mysteriously disappeared in this house. Anyways, at one point, Roger notices that the kid has gone missing and finds some monsters trying to pull him up the chimney. But Roger saves him, and later that night, Tanya shows up like, thanks for looking after my son. Okay, bye. I'll never make another appearance in this movie. So Roger gets dressed for combat again and invites Harold over to help him catch the closet monster. And I know what you're probably thinking. He's going to open up the closet and nothing's going to be inside. But you're wrong. The monster is back and it fights with Roger before dragging him off deep into the closet and back to Vietnam. This is where he starts living out the memory of finding a member of his squad, Big Ben, wounded. And Ben begs Roger to kill him before the VC gets there. But just as we saw with the situation with Tanya, Roger is a huge wuss and can't do it. I mean, you know, seriously, dude. You cave to some chick who wants you to look after her kid, and you can't kill your friend? I mean, get some balls. Because those two situations are totally comparable. I'm just kidding. Those two situations aren't even comparable. Totally different. That would be extremely traumatic. Life-changing, really. I mean, honestly, looking after a kid is no walk in the park. So he hides as the Viet Cong get there and drag away Big Ed as he swears to Roger that he'll get him for this. And then Roger runs out of the jungle and back through the closet and back into the house where Harold is just sitting there drunk off his ass. Like, seriously? You just witnessed this guy getting dragged into another dimension by a monster for all you know. And you're just like, well, might as well just get wasted. Does anybody in this movie see the danger of staying inside a clearly haunted house? So then Roger takes Harold back to his house, tucks him in, and then goes back to the haunted house and gets into bed. What the is wrong with you? Then he's like, ah, man, I just can't sleep. I might as well go to the shed and look at that painting. Wait a minute. Oh my God, that's my son trapped in the medicine cabinet inside the painting. So he goes to the medicine cabinet, but nope. Looks like it's still just a medicine cabinet until he takes a footstool and reveals some kind of portal on the other side. See, now this stuff I love. I like to sit there and think about how they actually did this. And I don't know exactly, I wasn't part of the production, obviously, but if I was to guess, I would say that this is a set and the medicine cabinet part is detachable from behind the set. So when he opens it the first time, they have the medicine cabinet attached. Once he closes the mirror, you'd have two grips or PAs just take the cabinet part off and then move it away so that by the time he throws the stool through the mirror, it's just a big empty hole. So he descends down into the darkness and suddenly he's back in Vietnam, where eventually he finds his son in a cage. And look, they're back in the pool, but it's not over yet because look.
Sucker!
Big Ben. You did this. You took my kid.
Why didn't you kill me, Roger?
Man, this kid is gonna have some issues when he grows up. Those therapy sessions are gonna be something. Well, gee, I guess everything started when I was 6 years old and I mysteriously disappeared from my great aunt's haunted house where I became a prisoner of war in a version of Vietnam from the ghost world where I was held captive by a dead soldier, all because my father couldn't kill him back when they were in the Vietnam War. And then when my father finally rescued me, he had to fight the dead soldier inside of the haunted house. So there's that. Now, I love the effects that they did in this movie. I think they're great. The work they did on Big Ben here is awesome. I think this is really cool. I mean, it's not perfect because you can actually see the actor's mouth through the mouth of the mask, but still, I think this looks great. Anyways, he starts chasing Roger through the house, and this is hilarious because eventually Roger is just like, screw this, and just starts beating the crap out of this guy. Eventually, Roger wins the fight in a pretty awesome final shot, but then a few minutes later, the movie's like, nope, which I personally think is pretty lame. I mean, this was epic, but I think this is really about Roger getting over the memories that have been haunting him.
You can't hurt me or my son.
I'm warning you! No!
And I do have to say that this explosion is pretty cool. And look, his ex-wife shows up. And that's where the movie ends, which is fine, but I have some questions. What about the book? Are you gonna finish it, or did that all die when you blew up the zombie version of Big Ben? And what about the house? I mean, this place was haunted before. This isn't all just about Roger's traumatic past. Well, there are some sequels to this movie, which I will probably have to check out in the future. But that's pretty much it for this one. As usual, thanks for watching, guys, and I'll see you all next time. But I would appreciate you not putting me through the ringer on the comment section. It's not pronounced Aunt, it's pronounced Aunt, you damn Canadians. Well, guess what? It's not a Canadian thing. I have a family member out east, and she pronounces aunt as aunt. And you know what? There's no bad blood between us. We haven't talked in a while, but still, we're good friends. And it's totally not over the whole aunt debate, even though we did actually have a debate about it, and that was the last time we talked. But still, that's how I'm going to pronounce it for the rest of this episode.